Have you ever felt like the world is moving faster than ever? That the headlines we see every day, geopolitical tensions, technological leaps, massive global shifts, feel almost pre-written? What if I told you that for centuries, ancient texts and prophets might have been trying to warn us about the very decade we are living in right now? Today, we are embarking on a journey back in time to unearth some of the most startling prophecies and see how they eerily mirror our modern world of the 2020s. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about a fascinating exploration of historical patterns and human intuition. Let's start with one of the most famous seers in history, Nostradamus. His cryptic quatrains, written in the 16th century, have puzzled scholars for ages. But some interpretations point directly to our times. He spoke of great powers clashing, two great armies meeting in a conflict that would ripple across the globe. When we look at the rising geopolitical tensions, the shifting alliances, and the proxy conflicts dominating our news cycle, it's hard not to see a parallel. Nostradamus also mentioned a great famine through pestiferous wave, which many now link to the global supply chain disruptions and food shortages we experienced following the recent pandemic. Could his vague yet potent language be a sketch of the complex geopolitical chessboard of the 2020s? But it's not just Nostradamus. Let's travel further east, to ancient India and the Vedic texts. The concept of the yugas, or world ages, describes a cycle of cosmic time. We are currently said to be in the Kali Yuga, an age characterized by conflict, spiritual decline, and materialism. The scriptures describe this era as a time when leaders would become unreasonable, taxing their citizens unjustly, and when falsehood would triumph over truth. Think about the spread of misinformation, the erosion of trust in institutions, and the intense political polarization we see today. The texts also predict a time when people would be addicted to their senses, valuing material wealth above all else. In a world driven by consumerism and social media, where our digital lives often overshadow our real ones, this ancient description feels incredibly current. Now, let's consider the prophecies of the indigenous peoples of the Americas, particularly the Hopi. Their prophecies speak of a time of great purification, preceded by a series of signs. One of the most striking is the cobweb that would eventually cover the land. For years, this was a mystery. But today, looking at the web of power lines, communication cables, and the invisible network of the internet that connects us all, the cobweb takes on a whole new meaning. The Hopi also warned of a gourd of ashes that would be dropped from the sky, a chillingly accurate description of an atomic bomb, which has shaped global politics since its invention. They prophesied that humanity would have a choice between a path of destruction and a path of balance with nature. As we face the climate crisis in the 2020s, this choice has never been more urgent. Let's shift our focus to technology. How could ancient people possibly predict our digital age? Well, some interpretations suggest they did, just in symbolic terms. Take the Book of Revelation from the Bible. It speaks of an image of the beast that could speak and cause those who did not worship it to be killed. For centuries, this was an enigma. But in an age of artificial intelligence, deepfakes, and advanced surveillance, the idea of a talking, controlling image is no longer pure fantasy. Think about how AI can now generate realistic avatars, how digital identities are becoming central to our lives, and how biometric data is being collected. The prophecy also mentions a mark on the hand or forehead, without which no one could buy or sell. While this has been interpreted in many ways, consider the rise of cashless societies, biometric payments, and digital IDs. The prophecy isn't necessarily about a literal mark, but perhaps a system of control tied to our ability to participate in the economy, a system that is rapidly taking shape in the 2020s. Let's revisit Nostradamus on the topic of technology. One of his quatrains speaks of fire from the sky on a new city, and flying machines. While he could have been describing aerial warfare, some believe he was glimpsing something even more advanced. In an era of drones, hypersonic missiles, and talk of space-based weaponry, the idea of fire from the sky has a distinctly 21st century feel. He also mentioned a time when human knowledge would expand greatly, almost instantaneously. The internet, which gives us access to the world's information in seconds, is the ultimate fulfillment of such a vision. It's as if these ancient seers couldn't describe the how, the microchips and fiber optics, but they could perceive the what, the incredible outcome of these future technologies. And what about global shifts? Many prophecies, from different cultures, speak of a period of great upheaval, followed by a new beginning. The Mayan long count calendar, famously misinterpreted as predicting the end of the world in 2012, was actually about the end of one world age and the beginning of another. It was meant to signify a massive shift in human consciousness. The 2020s have certainly been a period of profound disruption. The pandemic forced a global reset, changing how we work, socialize, and see the world. We are questioning old systems, from our economic models to our social structures. Could this be the great shift the Mayans foresaw? A painful but necessary transition period leading to a new way of being? This idea of a great awakening or spiritual shift is a common thread. Many esoteric traditions predict that after the turmoil of the Kali Yuga, or the time of purification, humanity will enter a golden age. This new era would be defined by greater compassion, wisdom, and harmony. Perhaps the chaos of the 2020s, the political strife, the environmental crises, the technological disruption, is the fire that forges a new world. It's forcing us to confront our deepest problems and, hopefully, to choose a better path. The prophecies aren't just warnings. They can also be seen as roadmaps, showing us the potential pitfalls but also the possibility of a brighter future if we make the right choices. So, what do we make of all this? Are these just coincidences? The result of vague predictions that can be twisted to fit any era? That's certainly one perspective. Skeptics argue that our brains are wired to find patterns, and we are simply projecting our modern anxieties onto ancient texts. And they have a point. Prophecies are, by their nature, open to interpretation. But the sheer volume and consistency of these themes across cultures and centuries is what makes them so compelling. From Europe to Asia to the Americas, ancient people seem to be sensing a future defined by global conflict, incredible technological power, environmental crisis, and a profound spiritual crossroads. Perhaps the true value of these prophecies isn't in their literal accuracy, but in the timeless wisdom they offer. They remind us that history moves in cycles, that our actions have consequences, and that humanity has faced existential choices before. They act as a mirror, reflecting our own era's challenges and potential. Whether you believe these are supernatural predictions or simply the astute observations of wise ancestors, they encourage us to look at our world with a wider lens. They push us to ask the big questions. Where are we heading as a species? Are we using our incredible new powers for good? Are we heeding the warnings that have been echoing through the ages? As we navigate the rest of this turbulent decade, it's fascinating to think that we might be living through a chapter that was written, in some form, thousands of years ago. The story isn't over, and the final pages are yet to be written. The prophecies lay out the possibilities, but the choices are still ours. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into ancient prophecies. What do you think? Are these eerie predictions or just historical coincidences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the world's greatest mysteries. Thanks for watching.